Hi, everyone. It's meteorologist Joe Chaffee on this Thursday as we take a look. I got the new afternoon GFS run out about halfway, and I thought we'd take a look at it as far as what's happening. And we're still kind of watching and waiting to see how this is all going to play out over the next couple of weeks. But first things first, you can see on this surface map, and I'll just draw it in for you so you can take a look at where the fronts are. But we do have another cold front that's moving southward from Canada and into the northeast, and it's actually going to produce a little bit of lake effect snows throughout upstate New York and in parts of northwestern New England. But this is going to be another very quick shot of cold air. And in fact, as we've moved through time during this week, models have become less and less impressive with this cold shot because the weather system that's causing this, instead of settling into the northeast, is actually just like the one from yesterday and a couple of days ago. It's just kind of moving on through and not really causing any complications. So we'll start to actually see temperatures moderate here beginning on Sunday, and when we should be back up into the mid and upper 50s, I think, and maybe even into the low 60s on Monday. But there's not a lot of argument here for a big warm up. There is a little upper air disturbance that'll be working through here on Monday, so it's probably going to keep things a little bit cooler than it otherwise would be. But I don't see anything extreme here. And then, of course, we're then going to deal with what, if anything, happens with the first in a series of weather systems coming in from the west, where some of the models were making some sort of coastal low here for the middle of next week, and maybe a good shot for a good soaking rain. I really was hoping that this will be the case, but as we often have experienced in this drought pattern, if it seems to find a way not to rain, it finds it. And I'm still not 100% convinced on how this is all going to play out. So let's just look real quick at the upper air pattern, because I still think that we are in a pretty much an evolving process here, and that continues to be the case as we look at the upper air. I'm just going to back it up so you can see what's happening for the weekend. See, this is the upper air disturbance that's coming through for Friday. That's bringing in that quick shot of cold air, and the problem is that it's a very progressive trough. So you've got this quick cold shot that comes in behind it, a little bit of warming ahead of it. But there's no moisture for it to play on, so other than clouds, there really is no issue here. And then that trough just moves in and out very quickly. I mean, now we go from Friday night, early Saturday morning into Sunday morning. It's already long gone. But you can see there's weak systems here on the GFS today. The one that's down into the Appalachians, and then one back up in the upper Midwest. And you've got also another disturbance that's coming in to Western Canada. The basic flow is still pretty much west to east. Cold air is confined. There is some cold air in this particular pattern that's flowing out from the poles into northernmost Canada, but it's not really penetrating that far south, at least for the time being. That is the case. Now, as we move through next week, the GFS does want to make some sort of trough here for the middle of next week, which would argue for maybe some rain, but it's how it handles it where it doesn't phase it. We've been talking about the fact that you got to phase these things in order to really deal with the energy that they can produce, and there's no phasing here. You see how separate it stays as we move into Thursday? The bottom of the trough is separate from the top part of the trough. It's not one big arm that goes through. Now, that may or may not be right, so we're going to have to see what the other models do with this. And then, of course, as we go beyond that, there's a stronger system that's coming in to the Pacific. Now, this is one of the things that I find encouraging from the standpoint of maybe getting some things to happen with regards to the long-term drought situation, is that if we can get this Pacific jet to get very active, and you see these systems that are moving along it, but if we can get this Pacific jet to be active and start pushing systems toward the East Coast, it might open up the opportunity for some rain. Then, of course, we have to deal with the other issue, which is whether the cold air is going to eventually get involved. Now, I'm only out here to day 8. where we do have a trough in the middle of the country, and ridges on both coasts. I'm sorry, let me just I want to just change colors here. Ridges on both coasts, and you can see it there. And there's even still this leftover system that's kind of lingering there along the eastern seaboard. But this trough here, this might be one that kind of starts reshaping things as far as the pattern is concerned. We do have some bit of polar flow that's beginning to develop over northern Canada. The flavor in the Pacific is changing as pressures begin to rise up in this area. So that is a sign that we could be gradually going over into some sort of a colder flow. But as we said, these things take time to work out in the atmosphere. It is a grinding process, no doubt. So let me just finish off with what we have on the surface, and I'll get a tight region of the United States, because I know a lot of you, and I appreciate this very much. I'm trying to accommodate everybody, so if I don't mention your particular area, it's not because I'm being mean, okay? Sometimes I forget. So let's just back up the surface map. So you can see this is Friday night. That front comes through here in the east. High pressure back through the Ohio Valley. I mean, it is really amazing to me, by the way, how it's virtually dry from coast to coast. But, in a normal pattern, you might get that for a couple of days, and then it just kind of goes back to where you start seeing weather systems moving across from west to east. This has been for weeks at a time, and it's very, very frustrating from a forecasting standpoint, in the sense that it's not really a big challenge to forecast sunny today with seasonal temperatures. Okay, we want something to work with. But there's that system for the middle of next week, and then you can see it actually has a bigger system coming into the plains, the northern plains, and the Dakotas with some snows, and it looks like it actually funnels down some colder air over time into the Midwest. I only have out through day 8, so I don't have out far enough to see what the longer term pattern might be beyond day 8. We're going to have to wait till later this afternoon to take a look at that. So we'll put up a couple of posts on the website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, later today, when we see what the European does, and the Canadian model, of course. And if we ever do get into some stormy weather, you can go to ssstormchasers.com for all the storm chasing fun and excitement. And of course, my website, meteorologistjoechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, and nycweathernow.com. Have a great rest of your day.